The massive Caltharian warship Void Sovereign drifted through the darkness of space like a metallic mountain. Its hull stretched for 3 miles and bristled with enough weapons to destroy planets. Inside the command center, Admiral Zextar stood before a holographic display showing the latest battle reports. His 6 arms moved across the control panels while his reptilian eyes studied the data with growing concern. "Show me the Rigel system battle again," Zextar commanded his tactical officer. The hologram flickered and displayed a star map with red markers indicating destroyed Caltharian ships. 27 vessels had been lost in what should have been an easy victory against a small human convoy. "The humans had only 5 ships, reported Commander Ethek. "Our fleet had 60 vessels. The battle should have lasted minutes, but something appeared from nowhere and destroyed half our forces before vanishing." Zextar's claws clicked against the metal deck. The same story had been repeated across 3 star systems. Human forces were winning battles they had no right to win. Ships appeared where no ships should exist, struck with devastating force, then disappeared without a trace. "The survivors all report the same thing," Ethek continued. "A single human warship that seemed to phase in and out of reality. They call it the Nightfall. Some say it can exist in multiple dimensions at once." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. He had served in the Caltharian military for 40 years and conquered dozens of worlds. He did not believe in ghost stories, but he could not ignore the mounting evidence. Human resistance should have been crushed months ago, yet they continued to strike from impossible positions. Far away from the Caltharian fleet, Captain Jake Morrison guided his research ship Aurora's Edge through the atmosphere of a dead world. The planet Kepler 442c had been lifeless for millions of years, but recent scans had detected massive artificial structures beneath its surface. The human exploration vessel was small compared to military ships, designed for science rather than war. "Bringing us down near the largest structure," announced Navigation Officer Ben Carter from his station. The young man had graduated from the academy only 2 years ago, but he was one of the best pilots Morrison had ever worked with. "The ruins extend for miles underground." Chief Engineer Lisa Park looked up from her instruments. She was a quiet woman who preferred machines to people, but her expertise with alien technology was legendary among exploration crews. "Energy readings are off the charts down there," she said. "Whatever built this place had power sources we don't understand." Medical Officer Kate Sullivan prepared her equipment for the planetary survey. She had joined the crew after her husband was killed in the war, seeking purpose among the stars rather than grieving on Earth. "Atmospheric readings show the air is breathable," she reported. "No signs of biological hazards." Morrison studied the surface through the main viewer. Ancient towers and geometric structures stretched across the landscape like the bones of a dead civilization. The architecture was unlike anything humans had encountered before, with surfaces that seemed to bend light in impossible ways. "Dr. Chan thinks this might be connected to the architect civilization we found evidence of near Proxima," Morrison said. The archaeological team had been studying fragments of an ancient race that had vanished long before humans reached the stars. "If she's right, this could be the most important discovery in human history." The ship settled onto the surface with a gentle thud. Morrison activated the communication system to contact Earth. The signal would take hours to reach home due to the distance, but protocol required regular reports. "Earth Command, this is Aurora's Edge. We have successfully landed on Kepler 442c and are beginning preliminary surveys." Meanwhile, in Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Richard Hayes studied intelligence reports in his private office. The station orbited high above the blue planet, serving as headquarters for humanity's military forces. Through his window, Hayes could see the construction yards where new warships were being built as quickly as possible. The war with the Caltharian Empire had been going badly until recently. Human forces were outnumbered 100-1, and their technology was inferior to the alien invaders. Earth's survival depended on guerrilla tactics and the element of surprise. But Hayes knew those advantages would not last forever. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message. President Helen Rodriguez appeared on his screen, her face showing the strain of leading humanity through its greatest crisis. "Admiral, I need an update on our defensive preparations. Intelligence suggests the Caltharians are massing for a major offensive." Hayes activated a secure holographic display showing ship positions throughout human space. "We have 200 operational vessels, Madam President. The enemy has at least 3,000 ships in their main fleet alone. If they concentrate their forces for a direct assault on Earth, we cannot stop them through conventional means." The President leaned forward in her chair. "What about Project Mirage? Is the Phantom ship strategy still working?" Hayes smiled grimly. Project Mirage was humanity's most classified military operation. The USS Nightfall was a small stealth frigate commanded by Captain Steve Collins, designed to appear far more powerful than it actually was. The ship used advanced cloaking technology and hit-and-run tactics to create the illusion of an unstoppable Phantom warship. Captain Collins and his crew have been remarkably successful, Hayes reported. The Caltharians are spreading stories about the Nightfall to explain their losses. They believe it's some kind of dimensional battleship that can exist in multiple realities simultaneously. The truth was far more mundane. The USS Nightfall was fast and well-armed, but it was still just a single ship with a crew of 30. Its greatest weapon was not its guns, but the fear it had created in enemy minds. Caltharian commanders now saw Phantom ships in every shadow and attributed an impossible capabilities to human forces. "How long can we maintain the deception?" the President asked. Hayes considered the question carefully. "The real Nightfall is taking heavy damage on each mission. Captain Collins reports that his ship needs major repairs, but we cannot afford to take it out of action. Every day the Caltharians believe in the Phantom ship is another day Earth remains safe." The communication ended, leaving Hayes alone with his thoughts. He had built his career on careful planning and superior tactics, but the current situation required luck as much as skill. The Phantom ship strategy was working for now, but it would not be enough when the Caltharians finally decided to end the war with overwhelming force. In his quarters aboard the battered USS Nightfall, Captain Steve Collins reviewed damage reports from their latest mission. The ship had struck a Caltharian supply convoy near Vega, destroying 12 vessels before retreating into hyperspace. To the enemy, it had seemed like another impossible victory by the legendary Phantom warship. Communications. Officer Nancy White looked up from her station. "Sir, we're receiving coded transmissions from across Caltharian space. They're calling emergency war councils to discuss the Phantom ship threat." Collins allowed himself a small smile. 30 crew members on a damaged frigate had convinced the entire Caltharian Empire that humanity possessed supernatural weapons. It was the greatest bluff in military history, but Collins knew it could not last forever. Eventually, the enemy would discover the truth, and when they did, nothing would save Earth from their revenge. The ancient ruins of Kepler 442c stretched beneath the surface like a vast underground city. Captain Morrison led his team through corridors that had been empty for millions of years. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing walls covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and move when viewed directly. Dr. Amy Chun knelt beside a massive circular platform in the center of the largest chamber. The archaeologist had spent her entire career studying dead civilizations, but nothing had prepared her for what she was seeing. The platform was made of a material that looked like crystal, but felt warm to the touch. Strange energy patterns flowed beneath its surface like liquid light. "This is incredible," Chun whispered as she ran her scanner over the ancient structure. "The technology is responding to my presence. Look at these readings." The device in her hands was beeping frantically as unknown energies pulsed through. The alien machinery. Chief Engineer Lisa Park approached one of the control panels that lined the chamber walls. The symbols on the surface began glowing brighter as she moved closer. "It's like the whole place is waking up," she said. "Whatever this is, it recognizes us as different from other species that have been here." Medical Officer Kate Sullivan monitored the team's vital signs from her portable station. "Everyone's brain activity is showing unusual patterns," she reported. "It's as if the ruins are trying to communicate with us on a neural level." Navigation Officer Ben Carter stood guard near the entrance while the scientists worked. His job was to watch for danger, but the ancient chamber felt more mysterious than threatening. The air itself seemed to hum with invisible energy that made his skin tingle. Morrison activated his communication device to record their findings. Personal log, Day 3 on Kepler 442c. "The ruins are far more advanced than we initially believed. Dr. Chun thinks we may have discovered the homeworld of the architect civilization mentioned in the Proxima fragments." Chun looked up from her work with excitement in her eyes. "Captain, I think this entire complex is some kind of massive gateway system. These platforms aren't just monuments, they're transportation devices. The architects built a network that could move ships instantly across vast distances." Park had connected her portable computer to one of the alien interfaces. Lines of text in an unknown language scrolled across her screen, but her translation software was slowly making progress. "The computer systems are coming online," she said. "I'm getting partial translations of what might be historical records." "They." First translated passage made everyone stop working. It spoke of a great war between the architects and something called the Devourers. The enemy was described as a force that consumed entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The architects had built their gateway network not just for travel, but as a weapon against an enemy that could not be fought with conventional means. "This is fascinating," Chun said as more text appeared on Park's screen. The architects discovered that their gateway technology could create what they called phantom duplicates. Ships could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, striking from impossible angles before vanishing back into normal space. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. The description sounded remarkably similar to the story surrounding the USS Nightfall. Could there be a connection between the Phantom ship and this ancient alien? Technology. Park continued reading the translated records. According to this, the architects shared certain genetic markers with what they called the inheritor species. The technology would only respond fully to beings with the right biological patterns. She looked up at the team with wonder in her eyes. "I think that means us. Humans are the inheritors the architects were waiting for." Meanwhile, millions of miles away, the real USS Nightfall limped through hyperspace toward its secret base. The ship's hull was scorched from laser fire, and several systems were operating at reduced capacity. Captain Collins sat in his command chair, trying to ignore the pain from his latest injuries. The Nightfall's most recent mission had been their most dangerous yet. They had attacked a Calfarian research station, destroying the facility and escaping just seconds before enemy reinforcements arrived. The crew was exhausted from months of constant combat, but they knew Earth's survival depended on maintaining the Phantom ship legend. Lieutenant Dan Murphy checked his tactical displays from the weapons station. "Sir, we took hits to the main engines and the cloaking array. We can still function, but another mission like that one might cripple us permanently." Communications Officer Nancy White monitored enemy radio traffic from her position. "The Calfarians are going crazy, trying to figure out how we do it," she reported. Some of their commanders think we've developed time travel technology. Others believe we're using weapons that exist outside normal physics. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Karin Lee treated the wounded crew members in sickbay. 3 sailors had been injured when a plasma blast breached the outer hull, but all would recover with time. "Captain, the crew needs rest," she said over the intercom. "We've been pushing too hard for too long." Collins knew she was right, but Earth Command kept sending new mission orders. Every successful attack by the Nightfall convinced the Caltharians that humans possessed impossible technology. The Phantom ship strategy was working too well to stop now. On Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Hayes received the latest intelligence. Reports with growing concern. Caltharian fleet movements suggested they were preparing for a massive offensive. Long-range sensors detected thousands of enemy ships gathering at staging areas throughout their territory. "How long do we have?" Hayes asked his intelligence chief during their morning briefing. Colonel Gary Thompson studied the data on his tablet. "Based on their current movements, we estimate 2 weeks before they're ready to launch a coordinated attack on Earth. Our analysts believe they're planning to end the war with one decisive battle." Hayes walked to the observation window and looked. Down at Earth's blue surface, 200 human ships against 3,000 Caltharian vessels was not a battle. It was a massacre. The Phantom ship strategy had bought them time, but it would not be enough when the enemy finally decided to overwhelm Earth with pure numbers. "What about Project Mirage?" Thompson asked. "Can Captain Collins and the Nightfall continue their operations?" Hayes shook his head grimly. "The real Nightfall is falling apart. Collins reports major damage to critical systems. Even if we could repair the ship, one vessel cannot stop an entire armada." The Admiral made a decision that would change everything. He activated his secure communication system and sent an emergency message to Captain Morrison on Kepler 442c. "Priority Alpha message to Aurora's Edge. New orders. Investigate any technology that might provide tactical advantages. Earth survival may depend on what you find in those ruins." Back on the dead planet, Morrison received the message just as Dr. Chun made her most important discovery. Deep within the alien computer systems, she had found detailed schematics for something the architects called the Phantom Protocol. The technology could transform any ship connected to the Gateway network into a multidimensional phantom, capable of existing in several realities at once. "Captain," Sean said with barely controlled excitement, "I think we just found a way to turn the USS Nightfall into the Phantom ship the Caltharians think it already is." The emergency meeting in Admiral Hayes' office lasted for 6 hours. Captain Morrison appeared on the main screen via quantum communication, his face showing the strain of working in the alien ruins for days without rest. Behind him, the ancient architect technology hummed with mysterious energy that made the transmission flicker occasionally. "The Phantom Protocol is real," Morrison reported. "Dr. Chun has decoded enough of the alien records to understand how. It works. The architects built this gateway network to create multidimensional duplicates of their ships. One vessel could appear as dozens, each one capable of independent action." Admiral Hayes leaned forward in his chair. Around the conference table sat Earth's highest-ranking military officers, all listening intently to what might be humanity's last hope. "What are the requirements for activation?" Hayes asked. Dr. Chun's voice came through the communication system from the alien chamber below. "The system requires a living neural interface, Admiral. Someone must link their consciousness directly to the network to control the phantom duplicates. Based on the architect records, the process is extremely dangerous." President Rodriguez joined the meeting via secure link from her office. Her face appeared on a secondary screen, showing the exhaustion of leading humanity through its darkest hour. "Define dangerous, Doctor." There was a pause before Chun answered. The architect logs mention neural burnout, consciousness fragmentation, and in some cases, permanent integration with the network. The person who interfaces with the system might not survive the process. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. They were discussing turning a human being into a living weapon, with death as the most likely outcome. Hayes knew that military leadership sometimes required terrible choices, but asking someone to sacrifice their life for an untested alien technology felt like crossing a line. Captain Collins' voice suddenly crackled through the communication system. The USS Nightfall had just arrived in the Kepler system after another harrowing mission. Admiral, this is Collins. I've been monitoring your conversation. My ship and crew volunteer for the integration procedure. Hayes stood up from his chair. Captain, you don't understand the full risk. This isn't just about your ship being destroyed in battle. The neural interface could kill you or worse. Collins appeared on screen from the Nightfall's bridge. His face was bruised from their latest engagement, and exhaustion showed in his eyes. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations, keeping the damaged ship operational through skill and determination alone. Sir, we've been living on borrowed time for months. The Caltharians are getting smarter about hunting us. It's only a day, matter of time before they corner the real Nightfall and expose the whole deception. Lieutenant Murphy stepped into view behind his captain. The tactical officer had served with Collins for 3 years and trusted his commander's judgment completely. Admiral, the crew has discussed this. We know what Earth is facing. If there's a chance this alien technology can save our world, we're willing to take that risk. Dr. Lee's voice came from somewhere off-screen in the Nightfall's medical bay. The neural interface will require extensive preparation. I'll need complete medical data on the architect technology before we can attempt the procedure safely. Hayes felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders like a physical burden. The decision he made in the next few minutes would determine humanity's fate. If the Phantom Protocol worked, Earth might survive the coming invasion. If it failed, he would have sacrificed Collins and his crew for nothing. Very well, Hayes said finally. Captain Morrison, prepare the ruins for the Nightfall's arrival. Dr. Chun, transmit all available data on the neural interface procedure to Dr. Lee. Captain Collins, you have 48 hours to reach Kepler 442c and complete the integration. Transmission ended, leaving Hayes alone with his officers. Colonel Thompson was the first to speak. Sir, intelligence reports that the Caltharian main fleet will reach Earth in 10 days. Even if the integration succeeds, will one Phantom ship be enough to stop 3,000 enemy vessels? Hayes walked to the window overlooking Earth's blue surface. Somewhere down there, billions of people were going about their daily lives, unaware that their existence hung on the courage of 30 sailors aboard a damaged frigate. It has to be enough, Colonel. We don't have any other options. Aboard the USS Nightfall, Captain Collins addressed his crew over the ship's intercom system. The 30 men and women under his command had become legends without knowing it, their actions inspiring fear across the Caltharian Empire. Now they faced their greatest challenge yet. Everyone knows what we're about to attempt, Collins said. The alien technology could transform our ship into the phantom weapon the enemy thinks we already are. But the procedure is dangerous, and some of us might not survive. Communications Officer Nancy White looked up from her station. She had joined the Navy to explore the stars, not to fight in a desperate war for humanity's survival. Sir, what are our chances of the integration actually working? Collins considered the question honestly. Dr. Chun estimates a 60% chance of success, but that's based on incomplete data from a dead civilization. We're stepping into the unknown. Chief Engineer Frank Torres had been studying the technical specifications Dr. Chun had transmitted. The alien technology was far beyond human understanding, but Torres had always been good at making impossible things work. Captain, even if the integration succeeds, someone will have to maintain the neural link throughout any battle. The person connected to the system will be fighting for their mind as much as for Earth. Collins nodded grimly. As ship's captain, the responsibility for the neural interface would fall to him. He would have to link his consciousness to technology that had driven architect operators insane, then use that connection to control multiple versions of his ship across different dimensions. The Nightfall jumped to hyperspace, beginning its final journey to Kepler 442c. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Lee prepared equipment for the most dangerous procedure she had ever attempted. The architect records suggested that humans were genetically compatible with their neural interface technology, but compatibility did not guarantee survival. On the planet's surface, Dr. Chun worked frantically to prepare the ancient machinery for its first activation in millions of years. The gateway network responded to her presence, but she could feel something vast and alien stirring within the systems. The architects had built their technology to interface with living minds, and those minds had left traces of themselves within. The network. Morrison coordinated the preparation from the Aurora's edge, while monitoring long-range sensors for any sign of Caltharian activity. The enemy had been suspiciously quiet for the past 2 days, which usually meant they were planning something big. Engineer Lisa Park connected human computer systems to the alien network, creating a bridge between technologies separated by millions of years of evolution. The interface hummed with power that made her instruments register impossible energy readings. As the USS Nightfall approached Kepler 442c, Collins made his final personal log entry. If anyone ever finds this recording, know that my crew and I believed in humanity's future. The Caltharians think they can destroy us with superior numbers, but they don't understand what makes humans dangerous. We don't just fight with weapons. We fight with hope. The fate of 2 civilizations now rested on 30 people and a piece of ancient, alien technology that no living being truly understood. The USS Nightfall descended through the atmosphere of Kepler 442c like a wounded bird seeking shelter. Captain Collins watched the ancient ruins grow larger on his view screen, knowing that within hours he would either save humanity or die in the attempt. The ship's damaged hull groaned under atmospheric pressure, reminding everyone aboard that they were flying on borrowed time. Dr. Chun stood in the main chamber of the alien complex, surrounded by technology that pulsed with otherworldly energy. The architect gateway system had been dormant for millions of years, but now it responded to human presence like a machine awakening from a long sleep. Crystalline panels along the walls glowed brighter as the Nightfall approached, as if the ancient network could sense its intended purpose. The neural interface platform is ready, Chun reported to Morrison over her communicator. I've programmed the system with the USS Nightfall's technical specifications. The integration should be possible, but I can't predict what will happen. To Captain Collins, once the link is established, Morrison coordinated the landing from his ship while monitoring sensor readings that defied explanation. The alien technology was generating energy signatures unlike anything in human science. Dr. Lee, are you prepared for the medical aspects of this procedure? The Nightfall's chief medical officer had set up portable equipment near the gateway platform. Her instruments showed readings she had never seen before, but her duty was clear. I have stimulants to keep the captain conscious and neural stabilizers to prevent brain damage. Beyond that, we're in uncharted territory. Captain Collins walked slowly toward the glowing alien platform, each step bringing him closer to a fate he could not imagine. The neural interface headset Dr. Chon had prepared looked like a crown made of living metal, its surface covered with connections that would link his mind directly to the architect network. Sir, Lieutenant Murphy called from the Nightfalls. Bridge, Long-range sensors are detecting massive hyperspace signatures approaching the system. It looks like a Caltharian fleet. Collins stopped walking and activated his communicator. How many ships, Lieutenant? There was a pause as Murphy checked his readings. 500 vessels, Captain. It's Admiral Zextar's advance fleet. They must have tracked our movements here. The situation had just become far more dangerous. Collins had expected to have time to test the alien technology safely, but now enemy ships were approaching with orders to destroy anything they found. The integration would have to happen immediately, with no chance for practice or preparation. All hands, battle stations, Collins ordered. We're about to find out if ancient alien legends are real. He placed the neural interface device on his head, feeling alien metal conform to the shape of his skull. Dr. Chun activated the gateway system, and suddenly Collins' world exploded into chaos. His consciousness expanded beyond his physical body, touching something vast and incomprehensible. Within the alien network, the USS Nightfall began changing in ways that violated every law of physics Collins understood. On his view screen, he could see multiple versions of his ship materializing in the space around Kepler 442c. Each phantom duplicate looked exactly like the original Nightfall, but they existed in slightly different dimensional phases of reality. Collins felt his mind stretching across multiple planes of existence simultaneously. He was still standing in the alien chamber, but he was also on the bridge of 6 different versions of his ship. Each phantom Nightfall had its own crew, its own weapons, and its own independent existence. Captain, are you all right? Dr. Lee asked, monitoring his vital signs from her medical station. Collins' brain activity was showing patterns unlike anything in medical literature. I can see everything, Collins whispered, his voice echoing strangely in the chamber. I'm commanding 6 ships at once. No, wait, 12 ships. The number keeps growing. The Caltharian advance fleet dropped out of hyperspace just as the phantom duplicates reached their full manifestation. Admiral Zextar's tactical officers immediately began reporting impossible sensor readings. Their instruments detected dozens of human ships, where only one had been moments before. What is this? Zextar demanded from his command chair aboard the flagship Death's Edge. Where did all these vessels come from? His science officer studied the readings with growing confusion. Admiral, our sensors show 37 separate ships, but they all have identical energy signatures. It's as if the same vessel exists in multiple locations simultaneously. Zextar had heard the legends about the Phantom warship, but seeing it manifest before his eyes was different from listening to scared survivors. The human ship was becoming something that challenged his understanding of reality itself. All ships, attack formation, he ordered. Target the original vessel and ignore the duplicates. They must be some kind of holographic deception. The Caltharian fleet opened fire with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Laser beams and plasma bolts filled the space around Kepler 442c, but the phantom ships proved to be far more than illusions. Each duplicate returned fire with the same devastating accuracy as the original. Nightfall. Collins felt the battle through 37 different perspectives at once. His consciousness flowed between dimensions, allowing him to coordinate attacks from multiple angles while avoiding enemy fire through impossible maneuvers. The phantom ships could appear behind enemy vessels, strike with their full weapons, then vanish into dimensional space before retaliation was possible. Lieutenant Murphy found himself serving as tactical officer on multiple ships simultaneously. His consciousness had been partially linked to the network through his neural implants, allowing him to coordinate weapons fire across all the phantom duplicates. Sir, we're hitting them from every direction. They can't defend against attacks that come from multiple dimensions. The Caltharian fleet began taking massive casualties as the phantom warships demonstrated abilities that seemed supernatural. Ships exploded around enemies they could not effectively target, while the USS Nightfall struck from dimensions their weapons could not reach. "This is impossible," Sextar's tactical officer reported. "The human ships are existing in several realities at once. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto vessels that phase in and out of normal space." Admiral Sextar watched in horror as his advanced fleet was systematically destroyed by an enemy that should not be able to exist. Half his ships were already gone, and the Phantom warships showed no signs of slowing their attack. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Fall back to the main fleet and report what we have witnessed." The surviving Caltharian vessels jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind only debris and the legend of a battle that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. 300 enemy ships had been destroyed by what appeared to be a single human vessel. In the alien chamber, Captain Collins collapsed as the Phantom ships faded back into normal space. His mind had been stretched across multiple dimensions for hours, and the strain was more than any human consciousness was designed to handle. Dr. Lee rushed to his side as his vital signs showed dangerous fluctuations. "The neural link is killing him," she reported to Morrison. "His brain activity is fragmenting across multiple dimensional phases. If we don't disconnect him soon, we might lose him permanently." Collins struggled to remain conscious as the alien network continued pulling at his mind. He could feel pieces of his consciousness scattered across different realities, and gathering them back together required tremendous effort. "No," he whispered weakly. "The main Caltharian fleet is still coming. Earth needs the Phantom ship to be ready when they arrive." Morrison knelt beside his fellow captain, understanding the terrible choice Collins was making. The neural interface was slowly destroying his mind, but disconnecting it would leave Earth defenseless against the coming invasion. "How long can you maintain the link?" Morrison asked. Collins looked up with eyes that seemed to see into other dimensions. "Long enough to save our world, I hope." The Caltharian main fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a plague of metallic locusts. 3,000 warships spread across space in a formation so vast it could be seen from the outer planets. Admiral Korath commanded the armada from his flagship Eternal Destroyer, confident that no force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming numbers. "Deploy the fleet in attack formation," Korath ordered from his command throne. The massive alien had led the Caltharian military for 20 years and conquered dozens of worlds. Today would mark the end of human resistance and the completion of his greatest victory. Surround the human homeworld and prepare to demonstrate the price of defying our empire. Earth's defense fleet of 200 ships took positions around their blue homeworld, knowing they faced impossible odds. Admiral Hayes watched the enemy deployment from his command station, counting enemy vessels until the numbers became meaningless. On his tactical display, red markers representing Caltharian ships outnumbered the green markers of human vessels 15-1. President Rodriguez addressed the world from her emergency bunker, her voice carried to every nation on Earth. "My fellow humans, today we face our greatest challenge. The enemy believes their numbers guarantee victory, but they do not understand the strength that lies in the human heart. Whatever happens in the next few hours, remember that we have never surrendered and we never will." Captain Collins lay connected to the alien neural interface on Kepler 442c, his consciousness scattered across multiple dimensions like fragments of a broken mirror. Dr. Lee monitored his failing vital signs while Dr. Chun worked frantically to maintain the gateway network. The captain's mind was fragmenting under the strain of controlling Phantom ships, but he refused to let go of the alien connection. His neural activities becoming increasingly unstable, Dr. Lee reported to Morrison. "The interface is burning out his brain, one neuron at a time. He cannot maintain this connection much longer." Collins opened his eyes, and they seemed to see through realities that normal humans could not perceive. "The main fleet has arrived," he whispered, his voice echoing strangely as if spoken from multiple dimensions at once. Pike sensed their presence across space. 3,000 ships, just as intelligence predicted. Morrison knelt beside his fellow captain, understanding that Collins was dying to save their world. "Can the Phantom ship technology handle that many enemies?" A smile appeared on Collins' face, but it was not entirely human anymore. Something alien had begun mixing with his consciousness, memories from the long-dead architects flowing through his mind. The network was designed to fight the Devourers, an enemy that consumed entire galaxies. 3,000 ships is nothing compared to what the architects faced. The USS Nightfall lifted off from the planet's surface, but it was no longer a single vessel. The ship existed in hundreds of dimensional phases simultaneously, each one independently real and capable of devastating attacks. As it traveled toward Earth, the Phantom duplicates spread across multiple realities like ripples in a cosmic pond. Admiral Koroth received reports of the approaching Phantom ship with dismissive arrogance. "A single human vessel against our entire armada. Their desperation has driven them to madness." His tactical officer studied the sensor readings with growing confusion. "Admiral, our instruments detect multiple vessels approaching, but they all appear to be the same ship. The readings suggest hundreds of identical craft, but that should be impossible." Koroth had heard the stories about the Phantom warship from Admiral Zextar's defeated fleet, but he had dismissed them as the fantasies of cowards. Seeing the impossible readings on his own screens forced him to reconsider those reports. "All ships, battle formation," he commanded. "If the humans want to throw their legendary Phantom ship against our fleet, we will show them the futility of their resistance." The USS Nightfall reached Earth's solar system just as the Caltharian fleet began its final assault on the human homeworld. What happened next would become legend throughout the galaxy for thousands of years. The Phantom ship did not appear as a single vessel, but as an entire fleet of identical craft, each one existing in its own dimensional phase while sharing the same consciousness. Captain Collins felt his awareness expand across reality itself. He was no longer just commanding Phantom ships. He had become the Phantom ship. His consciousness flowed through hundreds of vessels simultaneously, each one capable of independent action while remaining part of a greater whole. The Caltharian fleet found itself fighting an enemy that defied every law of physics. They understood. The Phantom ships appeared throughout their formations simultaneously, striking from above, below, and from dimensions that should not exist. Each attack came from a different angle, making coordinated defense impossible. "Target the original vessel," Admiral Koroth ordered desperately. "The duplicates must be projections from a single source." His weapons officers tried to comply, but they could not determine which ship was the original. Every Phantom vessel appeared equally real to their instruments, and attacking one did nothing to stop the others. The USS Nightfall had become something beyond normal understanding, a warship that existed across multiple realities at once. Lieutenant Murphy coordinated weapons fire across hundreds of Phantom ships. His consciousness partially merged with the alien network through his neural implants. He could target multiple enemy vessels simultaneously, while avoiding their return fire through impossible dimensional maneuvers. Communications. Officer Nancy White found herself receiving signals from across the galaxy as the alien network connected her to communication systems beyond human knowledge. She could hear the panic in Caltharian transmissions as their commanders struggled to comprehend what they were fighting. The battle that followed lasted only 3 hours, but it changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Caltharian armada was systematically destroyed by an enemy that could attack from multiple dimensions, while remaining nearly impossible to target effectively. Ships exploded around Phantom vessels they could not hit, while the USS Nightfall struck from angles that violated three-dimensional space. Admiral Korev watched his invincible fleet disintegrate around him as the Phantom ships demonstrated capabilities that seemed supernatural. "This is impossible," he transmitted to his surviving vessels. "How can one ship exist in so many places at once?" Captain Collins felt his human consciousness slipping away as the alien network claimed more of his mind. He was becoming something beyond human understanding, a bridge between realities that allowed impossible things to become real. With his last fragment of humanity, he focused the Phantom Fleet's full power on the remaining Caltharian ships. The final phase of the battle saw the complete annihilation of the enemy armada. Not a single Caltharian vessel escaped to carry word of their defeat back to the Empire. 3,000 warships had been reduced to floating debris by what appeared to be a single human frigate that existed across multiple dimensions. Dr. Lee watched helplessly as Captain Collins' vital signs flatlined in the alien chamber. His consciousness had been completely absorbed by the network, his humanity sacrificed to save his species. "He's gone," she reported quietly to Morrison. "His mind has merged permanently with the alien technology." Morrison looked down at the man who had saved Earth through the ultimate sacrifice. Collins' body remained alive, but his consciousness now existed within the dimensional network itself, forever linked to the Phantom ship that had become legend.in. The aftermath of the battle, the USS Nightfall vanished into dimensional space, taking Collins' consciousness with it. Earth was saved, but at a cost that would never be forgotten. The Phantom warship had become real through one man's willingness to give up his humanity for his species. Years later, spacers throughout the galaxy would report sightings of a ghost ship that appeared wherever humanity was threatened. The USS Nightfall had become more than a vessel. It had become hope itself, crewed by the spirit of a captain who had transcended death to protect his people. The war with the Caltharian Empire ended not with surrender, but with their complete withdrawal from human space. No alien civilization would ever again underestimate the species that had turned myth into reality through sacrifice and determination. Captain Steve Collins had become the Phantom of his own legend, forever sailing between dimensions in defense of the world he had died to save.